Good morning and welcome to the SCORE Business Showcase. Welcome to another event. We have Marcy with us today, and also my co-host Marianne. Uh, Welcome to all of you.
To be here.
Hi, good to be here too.
Marcy, so how long you've been in business?
I guess that would be which business. So Dux Design is just a little bit over 3 years old now. We started in, I believe, September of 2017.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Now, with a successful career as a pediatrician, what made you decide on starting this business?
Well, yeah, so I have a little bit more of a complex pathway from pediatrics to Dux. I was a pediatrician very happily for about at least 20 years, a little bit over 20 years. But I also had another side, which was very creative and entrepreneurial, I suppose. And had actually about 7 or 8 years ago decided to start a company as a side hustle next to my pediatric career, and decided to do furniture and developed a furniture line, a modular furniture line that I was actually had a factory and was kind of trying to grow the business. And eventually what happened was my kids got the entrepreneurial bug. And while I was struggling trying to make furniture and grow my business, my kids went and started Dux using the 3D printer and some of the machines in my workshop, and made more sales in 3 months than I did in 3 years. So I was like, they're making more money. They're working with kids because it's a children's product, and they're making a lot of sales and I'm not. So I jumped into their camp and have been helping them grow their business. And so it was a little bit more of a circuitous pathway to start Dux.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
That's such an interesting story. Was there anything else besides your children inspiring you that led you down this path?
Yeah, it was a confluence of everything. I mean, my experience as a pediatrician, now I was a pediatrician way back in the old days before the iPhone. And not even the internet. The internet was there before me, but what I saw over years was really a transition, not only in like family behavior and interaction, but also in kids' development with iPads and iPhones. Like kids are starting kindergarten poking, but not knowing how to hold a pencil. And somehow towards the end of my pediatrics, families were feeling like it was completely socially appropriate to be on your phone during a physical exam, which I found odd. But at the same time, I was on like an electronic medical record, so I'm typing away too. And it just, it was transitioning to, I feel like culture's changed a lot, and what we've lost is a lot of hands-on creative play and social interaction with each other. And so that was one side. The other side of it was the experience starting a furniture company. And even though that company never really took off and flew, once you catch the entrepreneurial bug, it's really kind of hard to not have it anymore. It's so exciting. Everything is new. There's like a huge steep learning curve to everything, from starting a website to learning how to photograph to photo editing. I mean, it's endless what the number of skills that you need to learn to become an entrepreneur, especially if you're kind of bootstrapping it and doing everything yourself. But it's cool. Like, I mean, every day you learn something new and you meet new people, and you kind of, with furniture, I was meeting metal workers and then I was meeting engineers at the same time. So there was just so much new and excitement and growth in there. When my kids developed this product, they took everything that I loved as being an entrepreneur and everything I thought was really important about bringing up children today. And my kids actually put it together in one little nice business package. So it wasn't very difficult to transition into Dux because, when we started the company, it was actually before they even quote launched the company, we had 3D printed a bunch. And I don't know if you know what the product is. It's an architecture kit. So it's sort of like this over here. It's like cardboard pieces and connectors. And the idea is that the connectors fit all cardboard. So you can convert your Amazon box into anything you want without using duct tape or glue. So it just adds a whole lot of fun, and sort of like Lego meets the cardboard fort. So when we first presented the product, it was actually in our local town at a soccer tournament. The coaches allowed us to set up a booth and like just do this little experiment. And the good news was that everybody loved the product. Like, but the bad news was nobody was playing soccer. So the coaches weren't happy. But what I saw was parents playing with their kids, kids not having any instructions, just creating out of fun. And there was nothing right about it. There was nothing wrong about it. It was just like, let's just do whatever we want. And it was a free for all for everyone. Kids that didn't know each other were playing, dads were sitting on the grass playing with their kids. It was like that feel good moment. But what I also saw was nobody was on their phone. Everybody was engaged and communicating with each other. So it was just like a little light bulb went off, and I'm like, this is what kids need to do. So it wasn't so challenging to transition into that from furniture, where I was struggling to get people to buy one piece of furniture at a time.
Wow. I can tell that you're very passionate about what you do, especially working
Yes.
with the children. Now,
Very.
how has your passion aligned with your business?
I mean, they're 100% aligned. That's why I'm doing the business. Everything that we do for the business, I mean, it may not be fun and I might not enjoy that particular part, but it's all for the goal of the business and our mission. And so it's not really a challenge in that way. Some things are challenging, of course, and like you want to pull the hair out of your head when there's issues that you can't kind of work around, like getting my products on Amazon right now. They're on Amazon, but there's like paperwork issues and not reaching a human. So those are hurdles that are challenging, but you kind of just work through those when you know that what you're doing and what you're creating is, I think, awesome. So
So
That's
you
great.
mentioned the business side of the business, Marcy, right? And sometimes when you're creative, that business side can be a challenge, as you stated. So how did you get started?
yeah, well, I mean, again, like Modify Furniture, the furniture company helped me because the good thing about having a company that is like really challenging is that you try everything and you learn everything. So if there's one angle that doesn't work, you try another angle. So, I wasn't selling that on Amazon, but I was selling on Etsy. I was selling on eBay. Like even just to get an Etsy shop, there's like a huge amount that goes into it, and bank accounts and hooking things up and photographs. So, you just learn them as you go. And luckily, creative people sometimes aren't quite as organized as they should be. But luckily, I have a husband who's very organized. So it definitely helps for him to keep me focused, even within 3Dux. I mean, every day I come up with a new direction, and he has to kind of move me back, like, remember, stay focused, this is the goal. So that definitely helps. And working with SCORE has been amazing as well. And they, the mentors that I have are really good at keeping me focused. They must have experience with this.
That's fantastic. How have the mentors actually helped you in your business?
Yeah, so I mean, all along the way, even with the first company, I've been using SCORE. That's how I actually even knew about SCORE, because I had already been going to it for my furniture company. I mean, from the very beginning with the furniture line, it was really about building a network of other, communications with other people and how to approach other people, and like building my LinkedIn account. They helped me figure out Facebook and how to advertise or promote products on Facebook. sticking to a business model, creating a business plan, which I have been like avoiding all along. Like, well, I have an outline. I have it in my head. Like, no, you have to have it on paper. So keeping me on the straight and narrow and helping me go, take the creative side of me and like kind of fit it into like business management and making sure that like that side, production, all of that is there and has a solid footing so that when the company does take off, I'm not scrambling. It's like email lists and how to create, how to how to navigate email, but also how to data collect and keep your customers in a CRM, things I had never heard of before. Like, what is a CRM? A CRM is an acronym, but it probably means something like 5 other things in medicine. So that was also a challenge when people keep using these acronyms and I'm like, they had a heart attack? Oh wait, no, I'm in business now. That means something else. So that's always been a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, so SCORE's been awesome. And I mean, my poor two, I think I had 3 mentors. I wasn't sure if I had 3 mentors in SCORE because I was doing something so great that so many people wanted to be a part of it, or like I was like doing so poorly that they didn't know what to do and they kept putting new people at me. But one day after like 2 years of working with Modify Furniture, and I had my SCORE meeting, and it was like 2 weeks after my kids had done this like soccer field event, and I came in and we have these kits. I don't have the old one, but this is our modern kit, which is like produced now, like the boxes are made. But when we started the company, we literally bought like cardboard boxes, and then we did graphic design and created like a wrap around like a cardboard box to make it packaged. And I came in with it, and I had 2 mentors that day. And I'm like, my kids came up with this really cool thing. And I think I want to do this. And I open it, and the 2 mentors look at each other like, we have a new mentor for you, because one of your mentors started like a puzzle company and grew it and sold it and now mentors. And they brought her in the next week, and she was like, you're going to the toy show next week. And that's where it all kind of started. She kind of took over. So now I have, one mentor I think retired. So now I'm down to 2 again. But between the 2 of them, anytime I have an issue, like they're always helping me through them.
Marcy, since a lot of businesses will be watching our program, and those are some of your challenges, but what other challenges did you face and overcome?
Yeah, challenges. It's hard to say. I mean, our first challenge was internal. I'm a pediatrician. I like see kids eat things, put things in their nose, put things in their ear. Any orifice is fair game for a child. Let's just say that. And then here I am thinking about making a toy that I know a child could eat. So that was like the first hurdle. So calling, the Small Business Association, I forget the acronym for that one, but they talked me through it. And they were like, listen, if the kid doesn't eat yours, they're going to eat a Lego anyway. You do your child safety testing. It's not impossible. I just thought that it was going to be like some big, huge legal thing. And, but they actually walked me right through it. It was really easy to get testing done. You just had to know what kind of tests to do. And they helped me tremendously through that. So that was like one hurdle. It was part mental and part like, what do I do? I just don't know what to do. And then other hurdles along the way, have really been about figuring out who my market is and how I'm marketing to them and how I'm messaging. And it's not necessarily a hurdle. It's just like kind of a constant uphill. Like you never get it right. You always got to do something different or something better. So we're still learning as we go, and just being flexible and not so hard on yourself and pivoting when you need to pivot. Like COVID was huge. We were selling to schools all closed, so you just had to like, either you crumble up in a ball and you're like, okay, I'm done. I tried it. I gave it my best. Or you're like, I'll find another way.
I'm really enjoying hearing about your journey and learning about your passion. What skills do you need when you're starting out as an entrepreneur for our listeners, or even skills that you felt you needed to develop?
Yeah. So I think it'll be different for everyone. For me, as a pediatrician, I mean, I think being a doctor is like one of these things where like you don't have to go find customers. Like they find you, they wait in line. Like everybody wants to see you, like you're always too busy. You have more people waiting. So one of the challenges that I had was like now I have to actually go out and find people, find customers, find vendors, find, when it was furniture, like find someone to make the metal and not think I'm absolutely crazy. So just learning like that specific industries, like terminology, and sounding professional in that specific industry, is really important. So when you're at the toy show and you're trying to sell to retailers, it's completely different than when you're trying to sell to teachers, which is completely different when you're trying to get a metal worker to make, 7 different pieces of metal and I want 14 colors and I want every permutation, and trying to teach him how to calculate the permutations, and figure that out and not think I'm crazy. So, for me, that has been something that I've had to learn how to do, not be afraid of technology for me. So, even something like photographing our products, like the furniture was product, and right now we have products. So we actually need photography. Either you pay a photographer a few $1,000s each photo shoot, or you figure out, how to photograph. So, the typical conversation in bed at night is like, let's just hire a photographer, honey. No, you can do it. No, really, I can't photograph. Like, I'm really bad at photographing. It's like, it's not that hard. Like, you're a doctor, you got through medical school, you can figure out how to photograph. Like, you just read a book. So I would read my book in bed at night and like, think about it and take notes and highlight and memorize. And then, we wound up buying photo equipment because it was, again, cheaper than a photographer. And we worked on it, and would a photographer do a better job? Absolutely. Are we 80% good enough? Like for now, that's good enough. And then photo editing, like every task that you do as an entrepreneur is, you have to be comfortable not knowing anything and learning. I did
Yeah,
learn a trick about that. So we live in Connecticut. So when I'm starting like with a new vendor in a new area that I don't know the terminology and I don't understand like the whole world that they live in, make phone calls in California, because the first phone call, you're going to sound like a crazy person, clueless, and that person's definitely not going to work with you. But you learn certain terminology from them, and then the questions to research. Then you can go to Wikipedia and like, what is metal grade? What does that even mean? And like, what is an aluminum alloy? And then by the time you get to like Connecticut vendors, like, your words and you sound like you're in the business and you've been in the business for 5 years. So that's my little trick. The first few people that you call, you're not probably going to work with. Just learn.
now you sound like a basketball player, Marcy. All right, it sounds like you.
I don't play basketball, so.
Well, you've been pivoting. So, what other ways have you been able to pivot your business?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the biggest pivot, well, I wouldn't even call it a pivot. The first year we were market testing, and in my heart, I thought we belonged in the education space. But we also, I mean, it's a toy. So we just try to have how to figure it out. So, the first place we went was a toy show, and my mentors felt like that was a really good place because that's where they had been and knew knew people there. But the toy industry wasn't in the end right for us. So pivoting was really just trying something new. And we did one toy expo and we did one education expo and compared the two, and education won. But what we realized there was that teachers want lesson plans. So I don't know if that's again a pivot or just growth, but we wrote lesson plans because that's what they needed for the product. They, like a kid will just play with something. But in school, there has to be like a learning component to it and an organization of the lesson so that the kids learn the right thing. So that was like a mini pivot. The biggest pivot we've had was COVID. So, just around Christmas or a little after Christmas, we had a lineup of like 6 different expos. And, I had finally, like, it took about a year to figure out what my booth was going to be like. I have all the lesson plans. I know how to talk to teachers. The products, like, people were loving it at expos. I was in North Carolina on my way to South by Southwest in Texas when that closed. Like, I was in transit on my way to Texas when they canceled that conference. So, and then schools closed. So that was like basically our whole business. So we pivoted, we recreated our lesson plans so that they're remote friendly. We after school enrichment programs were dying for content for remote so that they can maintain their customers. We went from classroom kits that look sort of like this to these like fun backpacks. So every kid would get their own backpack so that they're, no child has to touch anyone else's stuff, and they can go to school, they can go home from school with their backpack on them. So they always have their materials with them. So, it was like a mad rush to kind of create content, create product, get a new product or new packaging for our product and get it out so that schools could get it. So that was a big rush.
Very good.
It sounds like you really did adjust. What advice, Marcy, would you give to new business owners, new entrepreneurs that are starting out?
Yeah, I think the best, God, a million things, but in the end, I think that, you have to really believe in what you're doing. And this is for me, so it may not be for everyone. I've spoken to entrepreneurs that want to make a widget and make $1 million and then sell it and like a one-hit wonder. I think the number of people that actually succeed at that is probably really, really, really small. So if you're going to be working for X number of years and trying so hard 24 hours a day to build this business, you have to believe in it and like believe that what you're doing is for a bigger cause than just making money. Because there's a million ways to like make money if you really want to. Entrepreneurship is not the easiest one. So you really have to be in it for a reason that's going to propel you. And in the end, like for furniture, it was an easy transition for me because I'm not as passionate in the end about that as I am about children's education. So, I think because there's always going to be lows and there's going to be a point where like, it seems like it's unsurpassable and like, how are you going to pivot and figure out how to rise above whatever is the next challenge? And if you believe in what you're doing and you are passionate about it, it just helps you get through those humps.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, let's talking about the future. What plans do you have for your business for the future?
Yeah, so with or without COVID, we were really our product is great. It doesn't really need too much. We could always add to it, but what it is, the beauty of it is its simplicity. So we're not like one of those companies that's just going to kind of keep upselling and adding more and adding more. The way we add more is through content and through connections and how you use the product. So what we were always planning on doing is really creating more than just lesson plans, but a full curriculum that engages children as groups and fosters collaboration and more of a global outlook for our product. So over the last year, even before COVID started, we were really reaching out internationally to get teams of kids from all over the world to do our curriculum, which is a project-based learning program where they build a city, and bringing in their own real-world problems in their community, their own culture, and then through their project, sharing their own voice, their own problem solving, their ideas for the future, and sharing their own culture and community. So we had been toying with that the summer before COVID. So we already had developed an online community. We have a map and gold stars. So every school or program that completes a project will send us photographs. They send us sometimes video of their students and their projects. And then we post that on our website. So children in Bridgeport can like push a button and literally fly across the world to a little community in Mabita, Kenya, and see how those kids live through their story, their photography, and their videography. Like I'd never heard of the country Benin before, but we have product in Benin. And I didn't know that that was the home of voodoo, the birthplace of voodoo. But the children built their little, their Zangbedo is like the night watchman in voodoo, and they built a structure out of our products, and they told the story of Zangbedo, which I thought was so cool. So now if you go to our website, you can learn, even as an adult, you can learn about it, but you can see like a picture of what he is supposed to look like in real life, and like the children's Three Ducks version of it and their story about it. So that's what we plan to do in the future more of, which is get the product all over the world and just create community through it.
You know, I'm glad that things are going well for you. And before we run out of time, I wanted to get some information or let our people out there know how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would love that too. So on our website, which is just 3duxdesign.com, there's a slash in our name, but there's no slash in the website. So it's just www.3duxdesign.com. And you click on any contact, and all roads lead eventually to me or our kids who are still running, working on the business as well.
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much, Marcy. I mean, this has really been great. I'm really looking forward to learning and seeing more about what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited too. And we do have tons of stuff, we sell to schools, but we are also on Amazon and on our website. So holiday season, we have a ton of products for kids at home and lesson plans and activities.
That sounds great. What
Even
would, go ahead.
Online, so kids can sign up for classes and do live activities with us.
Okay. Just before we close, I want to share this book because what we found is a lot of businesses are not reading like they should. And so sometimes we like to show a book that will be helpful. You're probably familiar with The Laws of Attraction. This book here is on that. It's called The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. And it will actually help you to understand how those attractions work in your business, in your life. It works 24/7. And I think you'll enjoy that.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing with me. I haven't read it, so I need some new meeting material for nighttime. So
And we like to thank our audience. We thank you very much, Marcy, for joining us. Um, you know, business today is under a pressure because of what's happening in our world today. But SCORE is here to help us. And it's free to the public. Matter of fact, on our screen there, you can see some of the contact information as far as SCORE is concerned. So once again, Marcy, thank you very much for coming. And for you businesses out there, to your success.
It was a pleasure.
Having me.